college. We have a game design program there and taught a bunch of different other types of courses. Once I started teaching in game design, I realized this is where I want to be, and then the challenge ahead of me was, how do I do this? But specifically what I do right now for WB is I work with different students to help them showcase their portfolios in a way that you can have confidence in what you've done, you can stand on it, and tips to help you basically get to the top of the pack if you're presenting something to a hiring director, and they're the ones who are going to look at your stuff and be like, okay, I'm going to send this to the team lead, and they're going to check it out. Most, as you know, the industry is blowing up, but now there's a saturation of people at the lower end looking for entry-level positions, and the way to get to the top of that list is to basically have all the things that you've done showcased in a way that again is very visual, but also links right there, and the HD doesn't have to think too much. He or she can be like, oh wow, look at this person's on their game, the stuff's right here, it's easy, bam, I'm going to shoot this right up to Alex at art lead or tech lead or programming lead, and they'll give it a go. And so what I want to do is to basically go through that. That's who I am, this is what I do. The reason why I'm doing this is because I have an example. My older brother, Matthew, was brilliant, went to Skidmore College, graduated double major, 4.0 semester early, computer science and mathematics. And then he came home to the farm thinking, I'm just going to be a park ranger, like I did when I was done with school. The reason I mention this is because the school never showed him how to market himself, and he also never thought about how to creatively market, computer science and mathematics. It's not intuitively a creative thing, so he literally had a gift and was not prepared to showcase it. Well, right now he's writing the new language for Microsoft. Like, he truly has a gift, and he's writing languages for them. But it never would have happened if someone didn't see him and say, wow, you really got some skill. He's like, well, I don't know what to do with myself. So I got like a personal connection to when I talk with students. It's like, you are going to be found. We're going to get you where you got to go, and you have the ability. Let's just make sure you know how to highlight it correctly. This also in regards to what I've learned interfacing with WB to schools, so I do a lot of that. I'm also a product developer, so I have to think about the business in a different way, and I basically want to go through what you need to know. My information will be at the last slide, and I have cards, so at the end of the talk, I'll be happy to pass them out if you want to speak with me personally about anything you have, or you want to contact me later, and I'll give you a call, we'll email back and forth. Excuse me for speaking fast, I know I'm on a tight time. So when you create your portfolio or your resume, there's some things you have that will, again, get you to the top. Imagine 200 resumes sitting on a desk and they're all paper. Okay, you're also probably going to be submitting them electronically. Here are some of the things you want to do. Since our trade, since the game design industry, whether it's AAA or mobile or whatever, is a very visual industry, you want to show the visual things that you've created. A paper resume is going to not get you too far because you're probably submitting it electronically and it's got the links. Make sure the links are right there, and make sure you create a website that showcases what you've done. Designers, artists, programmers, marketers, all of you can show your work visually. Usually if you've built a website, take a screen grab of it, show it. If you have a demo reel, put it in there, and we can talk about that more after this talk. You must be able to show the work through portfolio pieces, online profiles, changing project decision trees. Most people want to see how you think, problems you came across when you were integrating your art into the technical artists or the graphics programmers. And the best way to do that is to make a short 1-minute YouTube video saying, okay, here during this production of game X, as the lead artist, I came across this problem. Here's how I did it over 3 weeks, and you skip through it. That allows the people that are looking at it to say, oh, I see how this person thinks. I understand what happens when they come across issues, and it took him or her 4 weeks to figure it out. Nice. That can't come across on a resume, and oftentimes you got to get to the interview before a question like that can be articulated. The objective of this is to get you to the interview. Include links to all these in your resumes, all these different types of little demos, and I can show you an example of this after the talk. Your cover letter, so when you send it to the HD, like I told you, if you do this, there's a significantly greater chance of getting your work to the hands of the team leads. Those are the ones who are going to hire you, like really say, I want him or her. The HD will get all the work done, the hiring director, but they're the ones who have to choose you because you're going to be on their team. You want them to see how you think creatively. You want them to see how you've worked through it, and you want them to see your skills. Literally, we have the links literally in the emails, and when you say to the hiring director in the initial contact, check out my portfolio here, look at my resume, look at my list of projects here, and you move on. So, second thing you must have in your application / presentation is the demo reels. Build this for the company. Build it for the company. I work at Turbine WB. We make Lord of the Rings Online, Dungeons and Dragons Online. We work with Warner Brothers IP, so like, Batman, Looney Tunes, DC Comics, and Harry Potter and stuff like that. If you want to specifically work on a team, then you craft your demo reel to it. Make fantasy art that matches D&D and Lotro, or show that you really want to work on the Lego games that WB owns out in London. The Lego games is a part of our IP. show something that fits to that, and the team leads will say, interesting, they really do want to work here, and this is something that they've worked to fit it to our test. Include work that shows good fundamentals. You don't have to worry about creating something specifically that they use and their exact tools. They're going to teach you and train you on all the tools that they use. So just show solid fundamentals and the fact that you have a basic understanding of the principles of art, programming, design, or whatnot, and they will take care of the rest when you get there. You're not expected to know everything when you get into a company. They always train you on their tools and their processes because you're fitting into a team. Let's see, show your strongest skills and present them in a consistent manner. Keep it very simple, but nice and strong. Another thing that you must have, and a lot of people get nervous because when I speak with them, they're like, well, you know, I'm a student. I don't have any games launched, or I'm in customer service for eBay or for Marshalls or for, you know, Walmart or something. That's okay. You're a professional and you've worked professionally. Think about all the experience you've had professionally and highlight that, showing that you have the potential to do it there. For example, somebody would come and work at WB to be a QA tester or a customer service or community manager for Lord of the Rings or Dungeons & Dragons or whatever, and they were customer service at Walmart or something. They did phone recruiting at, I don't know, a bank or something, or they built a website for a small company in their town. It may not be gaming, but don't let that stop you. That shows that you have the skills and the ability to do it. Now you need to take your professional skills, maybe 3-4 years down the line, and apply it to gaming. Show how you're going to use what you know in the gaming sphere. So you say, well, I ran a website for a small company, and I wanted to show you what I can do and apply it to like this fake website for WB. This is my idea. This is how I'm going to do it. I can do this. And no, I haven't worked with any game companies, but I have professional experience. Don't ever always showcase that and stand on your strengths, because you can do it. You have to get in somehow. And the majority of the people, I'll just say this, that are in the game industry didn't go through a game design school. That's only 5 to 10 years old. Most of them, like myself, came from other industries and are in there. Trust me, when you go in and talk, it's like, what'd you do before this? Oh, I was a back-end platform service person for eBay, or oh, I built websites for this, or oh, I'm a graphic artist and I worked on, you know, websites for children's books or something. You'll find that very few people have gaming experience before their first gaming experience. Okay, great things to show, you know, customer service, client experience, product, any type of professional experience, you give it a go. And all that added to how you're applying yourself to get into the industry. Remember, you're a professional. It's okay that you don't have experience. Pardon this slide being so text heavy. I wrote an email to my colleagues and said, hey, I'm going to go give a talk. What do you recommend I mention? And here are the things that I put in. These are things to definitely show and things not to show. Iterations of problem solving, as I mentioned. Number 2, time needed to complete any portfolio piece. Say you're a student and you've got this portfolio. You send me this link to it. If I don't know how long it took you to make it, that's a little difficult to gauge your ability to do it under crunch. It could have taken you all 16 weeks of a semester or 2 or 4 weeks. Show them show people how long it took you to create that portfolio or that demo reel, because it's very effective in us knowing, you know, can you do it under crunch? Can you do a small time limit? What role specifically you had on a project? If you show a game and it's a full game, a small game but a full one, well, that's designers, arts, programmers, coders, testers. You're probably not all of those people. Maybe you are, but you're probably not. Make sure to highlight what I was the lead artist on this. I was the the QA person on this. What work have you done outside of your school portfolio? If you're in school right now and you're going to game design or something, you're probably going to have a resume similar to everybody else in your class, in that you'll have your senior project, your junior project, your sophomore project. I highly recommend, more than any other bit of advice, if you take nothing else from here, make a game outside of your school experience. You might say, well, how am I going to do that? And I'll show you in a second. Make a game that's more than just what the portfolio you're currently showing has, because everybody in your field has that. Freshman, junior, sophomore, whatnot. You make a game independent of that, put that on the top of your portfolio, your head sticks above the 40 other people you're graduating with, and when the career fair comes, the instructor's going to go, that guy right there, that girl right there, she did just a little bit more. Take this summer between your years and bang out a small game. It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be beautiful, but it's the fact that you made something beyond what everybody in your class has made. It's very, very important. I'll show you an example of that. One of my greatest students and how he got a job right out of school, actually as a designer, which is relatively unheard of. If you don't have a narrative demo reel, like you have made a little YouTube video, then make sure you show screen grabs. Don't do anything like this, nothing but text. Here's a response to that email to him. Benjamin goes, Benjamin, I love designers who design on their own time. That means the person will have tinkered with other tools before they come here. I'm a big fan of having real-world experience. Is something that they will give them perspective on what privileges to work in the industry. I gotta wrap this up real quick. I have an example of one of my students who, as a senior in college, created a website, and it's actually right here. Okay, so, and I'll go ahead and write this down if you want to see a good example of a website for somebody maybe in your level of someone who actually used this to get in. His name's Connor Norman. He works in a studio in Western Massachusetts right now, and he made these games all by himself. He just learned it. He got online utilities to learn how to build these games, and he was a student just like the majority of the people here, or never had any experience besides his schooling, and yet he went out, found resources online, free space. There's plenty of communities that help. And you get in there and you make something and you spit it out. And I used to do all the voice work on his games. It was really cool. And so when the career fair came, I said, this guy right here, he not only is he an A or B student, but he also stepped up between his junior and senior year, created a game all by himself, pitched it. Artists came to him, designers came to him. They put it together, they launched it, and he actually got the Free Space Game of the Year on his resume. So when people came to the Champlain looking for entry-level workers, his head was just above the rest, and he was scooped right up, and very proud of him. That's why I'd be happy to show his work. I only have a little bit of time, obviously. There's so much more to talk about, and usually each individual, it's a specific case. So I'd be happy to talk with anybody here at any time about what you've done and maybe how we can craft it and strengthen what you've worked on and get you, the best chance of getting the interview. So I got to wrap up because I only have a little bit of time. One question?
You can keep going.
Okay, cool. So let me just back up a second. So when I go to schools and I say, just make a game, sometimes they say, well, how am I supposed to make a game when I don't have access? And I usually reference this here. I don't know if you're familiar with Reddit, but what I did was, the people who made Amnesia Dark Descent, if you're familiar with that game, they did an AMA on Reddit, Ask Us Anything. And the 5th question down is one of the most important ones. It's right here. Do you guys ever just sit around the office and watch YouTube videos of people freaking out over the games? And they said, well, we would if we had a common office. Our entire team's only met once. Meaning they created the whole thing online, and they've got a little experience, sure, but these 8 or 9 people created the whole thing online, and that's how Connor made his game too. You've got your classmates or maybe people close to you, but if you jump onto the resources like Free Space or Reddit Game Dev, or here's another subreddit, looking for someone looking for a public relations manager, looking for an artist to do artwork for our game, looking for an artist paid, I'm a writer and I'm looking for this. You go on these forums, and this is just Reddit, just one of them. There are actual game forums like Free Space or other places. You search in, find these forums, find other people. You throw your pitch out there. Hey, I'm a coder. I'm looking for a team. Wham! They're going to come after you and say, hey, we need a programmer. We're 2 artists and a designer. Can you help? And then you work together, you bang it out, and you've got a portfolio piece that's going to be on top of your schoolwork or maybe your professional work. I'm telling you, you have the tools ready to do this. You just have to reach out and find it and step out and virtually create it. And I think that example right here is it's quite shocking to some people. They're like, wow, they've only all met once, probably at the launch or some special PR event, but they created those games online or together virtually. That's quite an accomplishment, but that also means you can do it as well. And like I said, here's one of I'm very proud of him. He's a good friend of mine, and now we're actually industry buddies. But here are the games that he made. This is a great example of a website and the style of it that I would recommend that anybody have. It shows your educational work, independent work, and so on, and a demo reel. Any questions, please contact me afterwards. I have a card. I'd love to give it to you, speak with you personally, maybe come to the school or whatnot, and I'm going to wrap it up with that. Thanks. While the next speaker is setting up, does anybody have a question I might be able to answer? Okay, cool.
You ever been to WPI?
Yeah, WPI, absolutely. I have a bunch of friends that went there. And as a student, I visited.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I also have a document here that is something that our art leads oftentimes set out, and it's very handy. It just talks about what we should do. I'd be happy to let anybody see this or give you a copy of this, or basically advice from the guys at Turbine. So demo reel advice, like 4 pages, great read. So let me know.
Thanks,
All right.
Benjamin.
My pleasure. Thank you.